Hello there, welcome back to the last topic in this module, functions. In functions, we are going to find out how we can actually make our code neater and more readable, easier to understand and easier to add on or extend. So for today's session, we will be covering why we want to use functions, how we call a function, calling a function within another function, returning a value, and finally, I'll be providing a worked example to put everything together. So what are some reasons that we use functions in your code? So the first reason is because we can reuse certain portions of code which we know already work. In Python itself, there are some functions that are built in, such as, for example, ABS, where we are trying to find the absolute value of a figure. So for example, if it's -5 and you use absolute, it will actually give you 5. Or within a set of numbers, what is the minimum value? So all of these are already pre-coded for you, and these are called functions. Next, the second reason is what we call abstraction. That is where a lot of times we don't need to know how a function works in order to use it. So if we look at the example given below, so if we are using the absolute function and we want to find the absolute value of the number -3, we can just use ABS bracket -3. That gives us the value 3. So a good example would be if you look at your code for the scissors, paper, stone, or at least the suggested solution, you will notice that it actually is very long. And after a certain amount of time, it gets difficult to understand what the program is doing at different points of time. So in order to make our program more understandable, functions is one way to do that. So let's take a look at the Jupyter Notebook code so I can demonstrate to you the absolute as well as the minimum functions. So for example, if we have a variable containing a negative value, by using the absolute function, it converts this negative value to a positive one. So it's akin to multiplying it by -1 if it is a negative number and not doing anything if it is a positive number. So let's take a look at this in action. So if it's -3, later after the absolute function, it becomes a 3. If it is a 3, it does not change, and you can try out with different negative values as well. So the next one is the minimum function. So whenever I have a list containing any number of values, so it can be 1, 2, 3. If I use minimum and I put in the list, it gives me the value 1. So in the next lesson, we will go into how we can call a function, and I will also be showing you what are the keywords as well as the framework in order to code a function. So see you in the next lesson. Thank you.